So we're going to go in here today and I'm going to talk about 7 calls to action you're missing in your real estate business. If you guys have questions as we're going through here, I'll try to make sure we save a little bit of time at the end to address, talk about, answer any questions that people might have. 7 calls to action. So if you're currently a Brevity client, you're going to pick up a few things in here. If you're not currently a Brevity client, we're going to talk kind of wrapped around these calls to action. We're going to talk about many of the tools that Brevity platform clients kind of have at their disposal to take advantage of some of these things we could potentially be kind of implementing into the marketing or the different, the different things you guys are doing in your business to market listings, market yourself, all around this idea of the call to action. And as you get in here and we start thinking about this thing, a lot of times, and this is the Wikipedia, right? The kind of crowdsourced definition of a call to action, which is a marketing term used extensively in advertising and selling, referring to any device designed to prompt an immediate response or encourage an immediate sale. A call to action most often refers to the use of words or phrases that can incorporated into sales scripts and advertising messages. The reason why I like this description, which I think goes a little bit beyond what most people would think of as a call to action. Most people think of a call to action as like, or at least I did, and maybe that's my background, is that like that thing that they see when they're on Facebook that makes them go, I want to click on this, right? That call to action, that thing that they see when they get my postcard that makes them go, I want to text this number. I want to call this person for some reason. Traditionally, for me, a call to action has been something where I'm trying to acquire a new client, right? I'm out there and this person's not currently in my database, and I'm trying to put some kind of a message in front of them designed to get them to take action, which is ultimately going to lead to them being, becoming a lead, right? Somebody that ends up in my database. But the reason I like this definition is it acknowledges the fact that we are constantly kind of presenting these calls to action, not just to people that we don't currently know who we hope to get into our database, but we're doing this on a daily basis really to people that are already in our database that we're just trying to get to respond to us or to take some kind of an action. So as we go through here, I want you guys to be thinking about this, not just in terms of like, how do I go out and acquire that new person to add to the database that we can hopefully turn into business in the future, but also from the perspective of what about those people I already have, and how can some of these messages and concepts be applied to those people as well? So as we get in here, as we often do, we'll kind of wrap this discussion around certain elements of Brevity. And today we're really going to be focused on the idea of the content and messaging, right? These things that we're putting out in front of potentially people we don't know and are not in the database, or in front of people that are in our database and we're trying to reconnect with, or to get them to kind of, come to the front of the pack. Right? We're mainly focused on our content and messaging, and we're always kind of talking about our CRM because everything kind of revolves around that. So I'll just, look, if there's anything that I'm a broken record about, it's these 2 things. And for an 18-year career in real estate, we've been sending listings to people, right? For a long time, it was people that signed up on our website, and then as I was introduced to Ben Kinney's business, it was people that came into our open houses or people that we circle prospected and then we got to nurture. But, the idea of sending listing alerts out, this has been around as long as I've been in real estate. The very first time 18 years ago, we took a feed from the Northwest MLS. We built the idea of being able to send listings automatically to people. Still, one of your very best kind of calls to action for people that are inside of your database today is get those people receiving listings from you. And listen, we sometimes, when the unfortunate occurrence happens that an agent leaves the business, and this happens every single day in every one of your markets, some agent has kind of folded up shop and said, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to go get a 9-to-5. We go buy lists or databases from these people, and we'll pay $1 or $2 a prospect or a lead inside of their database, kind of depending on how old it is and where they came from, the source of these leads, that kind of thing. But we will just immediately take that list of 1,000, right? We bought somebody's database for a couple $1,000. We've got 1,000 contacts in there. And one of the first things we do is based on kind of the source of where those leads came from, they start to get listing alerts from us. And some people say, hey, who the hell are you? Like, don't send me this anymore. And we say, hey, sorry about that. Like, no problem, and stop, right? But a lot of those people actually engage because they were a lead in that agent's life 2 years ago and they still haven't bought a home. So listing alerts become that. These are just obviouses, right? These are like layups. Chris Shook's heard me say this 100 times. But something we do inside of those listing alerts, which it just pains me to think of 16 years, and it's about 2 years we've been doing this, 16 years in my career. I didn't think to do this, is ask people every time we send them new listings, like, hey, do you have a house that you need to sell? And there's a call to action now inside of Brivity listing alerts, right, where somebody can figure out what their house is worth. Most of these people, right, it's well north of 50% own a home, right? It's 62 or 3% of people own a home. That's the home ownership rate in the United States, right? A large percentage of people are going to sell that house they live in before they buy that next house. And so we, just kind of figured like, oh, wait, for years we've been sending listing alerts, never once thinking this person might need to sell. So we've worked that kind of a call to action inside of your listing alerts. The second, Chris Shook says, Bob, sounds like a broken record. The call to action for your existing database to get them to raise their hand. And, if you're a current Brivity client, do yourself a favor and go look in Brivity Masterminds for, just look up market reports. If you wanted to really get specific, look up market reports and Gail Smith. She's an agent in Olympia, Washington who she's my mom. Okay. Oops. I shouldn't let that slip. And I actually told her to stop doing this, but she, like, once a month, she posts some kind of a come list me response that she gets from people inside of her database. Guys, some of these people that she's literally never met, maybe she's talked to them on the phone once or twice, kind of early in their in their discovery process of deciding if they wanted to sell their house. Your market report, if you're a current Brivity client, it's absolutely that number one thing that if you don't have everybody set up that should be, get these going right now. If you're not a Brivity client and you're like, what's the market report? It's market data that we take from your MLS that we allow you to deliver to your database, right? Your past clients, your sphere, any seller prospects you have. We even set these up for our buyer leads who get listing alerts as a call to action, right? Hey, come to my website, look at this property so I can see you in our CRM on my website, and I can call you today and see if today is the day you want to go look at properties, or if you need to get connected to a lender. Or we reinforce those listing alerts with the market report. So if somebody had come to our website, they'd come into an open house, right? We knew they were looking for properties at $350,000 in Puyallup, Washington. They'd get a listing alert for homes from $300,000 to $400,000 in Puyallup, Washington. Then we send once a week a market report to them for Puyallup, Washington, in the price range of $300,000 to $400,000. And the reason we do that is because today's Wednesday, right? They get their daily listing alert and they go, "Ooh, honey, look at this one. Like, that's a really great price. I think we should maybe think about this house," right? And then sometime in the next week, and every single week they get that market report, right? Sometime in the next week they get the market report and they go in and they look at that and they pull it up. It's the same area that we're sending them listings for. And they see that house they saw on Wednesday, maybe it's Sunday evening. And they pull it up and they see that house. Oh, and it's pending now. Dang, honey. Remember that one I showed you on Wednesday? That thing is already pending. It kind of creates this idea of scarcity maybe, right? The idea that, like, gosh, the next time I see one, I better call Chris Shook on Wednesday instead of waiting and thinking about it. And so we use market reports. Now, these are a great tool for your sellers, your past clients. Zillow exists because we didn't have these, you know, our MLS didn't allow us to produce and distribute this sold data back in 2007 when Zillow burst on the scene. They almost exclusively exist because we didn't provide this information to our customers. And we have an opportunity to be able to provide that information to them today. Let's talk about just some common real estate calls to action. Right? These are the kind of things that you'll see in ads, and we're going to look at a few ads here. And if you were running Google pay-per-click, which we've been doing for a long time, 18 years, I don't know, 14 years. Google really started pay-per-click around 2004, 16 years, right? Facebook ads. If you're running Facebook ads, you're going to see these kinds of things, right? Find houses for sale, get your home's current value, search the MLS, you know, get a free CMA, right? How to save thousands on your next home. Like, you guys can look at this, and we'll give you the recording. And if you wanted the slide deck, we can give you guys this slide deck too. These are very, very common and very generic. The more generic your message is, the less effective that message is going to be, or the less likely it is to land with anybody. This is an ad, which, funny enough, I get served this ad, and I don't know why. Maybe I was on this guy's website. It had to have been a long time ago because I don't even know who this is. Larry, though, he serves me an ad. Me in Seattle, I get served this ad actually relatively frequently. I'm a little bit confused at the target. Maybe a lot of people relocate from Seattle to Denver. Maybe that's why he's choosing to target me there. It's a pretty generic, right? Like, literally search everything. Search all the houses in the MLS, which I know what that means, but maybe some people don't. Like, is that Major League Soccer? Or this is a very generic ad, right? And there are just a million ways, I think, right? And you guys could look at any one of these and probably sign up for property updates and you know, twist that 50 different ways. Sign up for listing alerts. Sign up to have new properties sent to your email. Sign up to, all very generic, right? And all potentially valuable, but maybe more valuable. Maybe more valuable. And you guys, again, you can look at some of these. These are different words and phrases, different messages that we've utilized inside of content over the years. Highly effective messages, by the way. Are you interested in a great deal? Like, that's one of the best email subject lines we've ever used in lead conversion. Now, email subject lines in lead conversion aren't as important as they were years ago before we had text messaging and the ability to kind of automate and convert leads via text. But the more specific we can make these messages as we go and present them to the audience, whether it's an audience we don't know or whether it's an audience that we do know, it even becomes more important, I think, when it's an audience you do know, by the way. We can talk about that in a second. But we're going to make the message more specific, right, with a specific deliverable. And you can see there's the difference between this ad right here, which doesn't use agent speak. There's no MLS in here, right? It's not about, like, the entire area, right? And there's a very specific thing I expect to get when I see this ad and I take action on this ad. It's a free list of homes located in a very specific area in a price point. There's also kind of this like special edition there, right? Some of these homes even qualify for special offers. Like, I want a special offer. What kind of special offer? How much special offer? Right? These little, the nuance of the difference between this ad and that previous ad, which again is not a horrible ad, right? But it is very generic. And maybe that's because he's broadcasting it to a very generic audience. The more specific the call to action. Like, what do I get? What do I get here? I guess I can search all the houses. What do I get here? I'm going to get a free list of homes in Snohomish under $500,000. It's just a much more specific. Now, how can we make some of those generic calls to action that we saw earlier, which again are very kind of solid things that somebody might want and might get them to take action, driving them to you? How can we make them a little bit better? We can use scarcity. Okay, so there's not a lot of this thing. Maybe there's only 3 seats left for our first-time homebuyer seminar coming up this weekend. Now, 5 people signed up. Would you probably let them all in? Yeah, you probably would. But we use scarcity to get people to take action. I'll show you some examples of scarcity and location, right? Make it more meaningful to them in Snohomish. Make it time sensitive. Create a fear of missing out, right? Time sensitive. I think about things like, man, if I had a really great listing and I knew it was going on at a price where this weekend it was going to get some offers, right? My ad wouldn't say, hey, check out our new listing. It'd say, check out our listing that's definitely going to sell in the next 7 days based on this price that our seller let us list it at. Exclusivity. Agent speak is one of the most common, like, guys, I'm pretty sure if you took a poll of like 100 of your Facebook friends and they couldn't go to Googs, right? They couldn't go look it up. And you said, what is a CMA? I don't know, maybe 25 or 30 of your friends would get it. And half of them who got it would say it was a competitive marketed analysis. And half of them would say it's a comparative marketed analysis. And I'll be honest, I've been in real estate 18 years and I'm not even sure what the right answer is. Comparable, competitive, I don't know, right? Your clients don't know what MLS is or CMA is, or some of them might not even know what a market report is or means or really understand, like, do I want one of those? I'm not sure, right? But if instead of saying, hey, get a free market report, I said, hey, get a list of all the properties that have sold around your house recently so you know what your house might be worth, right? That might be better than get a market report. So agent speak is a big one, and we live in our world so much we just kind of get blind to these terms, right? That we just think everybody knows. MLS is a big one. Offer solutions to real problems. So, I could say, my ad could say, right? Get a list of homes in Whatcom County. Homes in Whatcom County for sale, right? I can amp these things up sometimes in multiple ways, right? Creating scarcity. They'll be sold by the weekend, right? Get a list of the 10 best price properties in Whatcom County. They'll be sold by the weekend. Home prices are up 8%, whatever that number is. Search all of the homes currently for sale in Bellingham under 300,000 with 3 or more bedrooms, right? This idea of like scarcity, there's not that many of these. A specific area, a specific type of home. These subtle tweaks to your marketing message will bring home just much higher results. And I think when I look at this anyway, kind of traditionally in the mindset that I've come in with, these to me feel like ads that I would like run on Facebook to try to get somebody to click through and land on my website. And I think these could be those. But how many, could you go into your database today? And by the way, Chris Shook, the answer is yes if you're a Brivity client, right? Could you go into your database today and find all those people that have been looking, between 300,000 and 400,000? And the next time you text them, could that call to action when you send the text to them be, hey, would you be curious in a list of the 10, what we found to be the 10 best price properties on the market right now between 300,000 and 400,000? Could that be a call to action that you sent to somebody in your existing database? Forget about trying to bring a new person in, because I promise you today, Chris Shook, your next piece of business is not waiting out there for you to put a really great ad together and get that person to like click through on your ad and end up in your world, right? That next piece of business actually it lives in your database today. So these kind of like these offers, right? These calls to action, think about how you can use these against what you know about the people that are inside of your database. And Chris knows everybody that's looking between 300 and 400,000 because he's a Brivity user, and that's something he can go into his filter and say, show me all my leads between 300 and 400,000. So what kind of calls to action can I create in here for the people already in my database? I think Mikey, when she marketed this thing, talked about this idea of like converting. What we're talking about is how do you convert more clickers on my ad, more people that see my ad in Facebook or on Google into clickers who then register, who become part of my database. But we should be thinking about how do we convert those people that we already spent money on and got to see our ad and get in and become part of our database. How do we get those people to turn it into paychecks, right? To people that we have out in the car with buyer broker agreements and showing houses to, or that we're sitting down at their kitchen and doing a listing presentation for. Here's some more. I mean, and I'm just taking these concepts like scarcity, right? Only 3 spots left. Like location, right? Like solving a problem for somebody. We use a thing called the wood sell list. The problem it solves for people in our market right now is sometimes when you want to buy a house in Fairhaven here in Bellingham, there's not many of them for sale, and every time one gets well priced, there's 5 or 6 offers on it. That's a real problem in this market right now. There's other problems. So we wood sell list. I don't know if it's something you guys have ever thought of or ever considered doing. Our wood sell list is, and you can read about it. I actually did I think there's a video on that page, a written description of what the wood sell list is and how people get added to the wood sell list. Basically, as we have, as we circle prospect in our world, as we call canceled expireds in our world, as we go out and generate seller prospects, right, using home valuation landing pages. I'll talk about those in a minute. A lot of times, that prospect that comes into our world who was curious what their house is worth, right? Or that canceled expired person who said, you know what, we're just going to wait. We changed our mind. We're not listing the house. What we do is we've got a little script that we go into that basically says, hey, listen, that's awesome. You're not going to sell your house right now. Would it be of value to you if we started sending you a market report that showed you everything kind of around your home and what it's been selling for, just so you guys can keep up on what's going on? And most people will say, yeah, it sounds fine. Right after that, we say, listen, we know you're not going to sell now. You've decided to wait. Whatever, you were just curious because you were refinancing. That's awesome. In the future, there's a high likelihood that we're going to have buyers in your area. You live out there in Fairhaven. We always get people that want to move into Fairhaven, and often we can't find that person the right house. There's like not a home on the market that fits what that person needs. So at some point in the future, if we had a real buyer, somebody that really wanted to live in Fairhaven, would you mind if we just gave you a call and just checked in just to see, like, has anything changed in your situation? And maybe the timing at that point would be right for you if we could come to the right price. We just want to call and check in. Is that okay? That you would consider selling if the timing and the price were right? And we promise we'll only bring you real qualified buyers. We have a lot of people. In fact, almost everybody we give that script to says, yeah, sure, if the timing and the price was right, yeah, I would consider selling, right? Now, it's very rare. And we have a wood sell list. We keep it in an Excel document that plots it on a map, and our agents can go in there and pull it up and go, man, I'm trying to find somebody a house in Fairhaven. There's nothing on the market right now in Fairhaven. Who's on that wood sell list? So we can just call through and see, like, is the time it's a timing thing. We can come to a price agreement at some point later, but is the timing right? Are they thinking about selling again? It's exceptionally rare Okay, and we do call into our wood sell list in Fairhaven whenever we can't find a property for somebody there in Fairhaven, but it's exceptionally rare that somebody says, yeah, man, you caught me on the right day. You know what? Betty and I were just talking about this last night, and we are actually thinking about selling. Now, it's happened, but it's rare. But it gives us a hook, right, where we can say to somebody, listen, I know you've been looking in Fairhaven, there's nothing on the market. But once we get this buyer broker agreement signed with you, what we're going to do is we're going to give you access to our wood sell list where we're going to go in, we're going to show you the property, but we're going to call every single one of these people. These are all people in the past that have told us that if we had a real qualified buyer, we can call them and potentially the timing might be right. Now, nothing may come out of this, okay? But we have all these people here that we can do this for, and we're going to do it for you. Here's the byproduct. We always talk about byproducts in our business, and you know, because that's a great kind of hook for a buyer. I'm going to list the properties that I'm going to call every single one of them. They're all people that in the past have told me, yeah, give me a call if you have a real qualified buyer, and maybe the timing will be right for us. Those sellers, those potential sellers, they might get 3, 4, 5 calls a year from somebody on the Ben Kinney team. Maybe in Fairhaven, it might be 10 or 12 or 15 calls a year because we have a lot. That's a really popular neighborhood here in Bellingham. Again, they very rarely pick up the phone and go, yep, we're ready to go. We're ready to sell. I can't believe you called today. What happens though is it starts to get like ingrained in their head that Ben Kinney team has buyers. Like they're the guys that have buyers. No other agents have called me 4 or 5 times this year saying, hey, I got another buyer that's looking in Fairhaven. Like, so it sets up these people. It just sets them up, right? We get come list me calls. We get them from our market reports, but we also get them from people on that wood sell list, right? People that we've reached out to 5, 6, and in some of our more popular neighborhoods here in Bellingham, at least, it could have been 10 or 12 times this year just to say, hey, Jim, I know you're tired of hearing from me, bud, but I got another buyer out there in Fairhaven that we're having a hard time tracking a home down for. Right? Not a good time for you. What about your neighbors? You heard anybody out at the mailbox talking about they're ready to downsize or get out of there? So let's talk for a second about like what kind of an action can somebody take like when presented with your marketing. So if it's online, if it's Facebook, if it's a Google pay-per-click ad you're running, if it's on your website, right? That thing's generally going to be something click on, a link. Right? And when we run Facebook ads, we're running links, right? We're pointing a link back to a home valuation page on our website or back to a /share set of listings in Bellingham, under $400,000 with 3+ bedrooms. It's a link. Now, in the physical world, when you run marketing, it'll be a postcard, your listing sign. Maybe you work with a builder and you've got one of those big builder billboards out there that's like got the big arrow pointing up to where the subdevelopment's being built up the street. And it says something like from the 400s, which is what it always says, which means all the houses are listed at $499, right? From the 400s. Or there's one house at $499, the rest of them are, $699. But you have a phone number and a text. And you have a QR code. Right. And sometimes it could just be a form. Like we can run Facebook ads today where it's just, it literally like is a Facebook form that they fill out and it auto-fills from Facebook. And these are kind of the things that somebody can do. They can call us. They can potentially text us. We can give them somewhere to go. And when it's online, it's just something they click. But sometimes in our offline marketing, we'll put in a postcard, we might have a website address on there or something. Or we could ask them to just fill something out. Now, we'll get to a good example of number 5 there in just a second. And I've used this example before for my friend Via, but all right. So, this is an example of a form, right? A call to action we use every single week. These are our open house registration pages. Now, this is Corona season. right? And so we're not using these as much as we used to. We now use virtual open house registration forms, which Brivity also has. You can host virtual open houses, and you can build the forms very easily on any given listing that you might be holding a virtual open house for. With these open house registrations, it's a form, right? Now we have a very specific kind of way that we guide somebody into filling this form out. I don't know if you guys do open houses. Here's the script when somebody comes into our open house. Says, hey, welcome to my open house. My name is Bob Stewart with the Ben Kinney team. Listen, people normally come in for one of two reasons. Either they live in the area and they're curious what their own home is worth, or they're trying to find like the perfect property for them. Which one are you guys? They're going to answer that, by the way. When you just shut up at that point and you just stare at them, they're going to tell you, do they live in the neighborhood and they're curious what their own home is worth? They're a potential seller. Or are they like out trying to find a property for them to buy, right? They're a buyer. Or they'll say like, well, no, this isn't going to be for us to buy. We're investors. Or they'll say, oh, this isn't even for me. It's for my daughter, and she's at work today, but she wanted me to come look at the house because she's in. They will tell you what the deal is. And then we say, before we take you through the house, the sellers have asked that we have everybody just check in to make sure that we know who comes through their place as we're trying to get it sold here. And we just direct them to our open house registration form. Feeds their name and email and phone number that they enter in here straight into our database. If they leave the little box checked, right, they're immediately going to be set up on listing alerts to be sent similar homes to the property they were in. So if they were in a home in Bellingham that we were doing an open house at $500,000, they'd end up getting a listing alert from 400 to 600,000 in Bellingham, somewhere in that range. It's a form. We can get them to fill it out. Here's another one that I hope most of you guys, like today, right now, have a listing out there in the world. Some of you have many, right? And on our listing signs, we have the ability to use a call to action. Now, most of us have our phone number, and it might even be a requirement or a law or rule, right, in your area. You got to have our phone number. Some of us might have, I don't know, it's not very common, I think, to have like a website address on it. It's just most of us have our phone number. The other call to action is that like that plastic box that most of the time is empty, right? But they can get out and they can like grab that deal. And when they grab that deal, right, the flyer, probably a phone number on there. Maybe there's a website address. Maybe you have a single property site or something like that. Text call to action, right? If you're a Brivity platform client, we call it quickly, right? They can quickly get information about the property, and I can quickly get their cell phone number so I can call them and see if they want to look at the inside. This design right here, by the way, if you are a current Brivity client and you use traditional riders, the little skinny ones that like sit on your arm bar or hang down below the sign, please stop. Or you can even build the text call to action into your sign like this one is here. This approach, and this is my friend Corey Permack. He like designed this sign 2 or 3 years ago. I put it in our masterminds group on Facebook and wrote kind of a description of why I think this is such an amazing sign. He gets twice as many inquiries on average as somebody that uses a traditional rider or builds it into the sign like this. And here's why. Well, before we get to here's why, and we'll get to that in a minute. Look, this is literally a picture from my cell phone, right? All the rest of these things have been screenshots, and this is a picture from my cell phone. And so I'm driving home. My wife had sent me to Trader Joe's, right? I got to go to Trader Joe's and get the dried fruit for the boys. They like their dried fruit. And I'm coming home, and I'm driving down like a major road in Kirkland, Washington. So I live in Kenmore, a neighboring town to Kirkland. And I'm driving down this major street in Kirkland. And I'm at a stop sign. I pull up a stoplight. And it's a one-lane road, right? And look, I'm not a city planner. I don't know how many cars go by, but this was like 2 o'clock on a Wednesday, and there was 10 or 12 cars stopped at the light with me. I got thousands of cars go by this location every single day, right? Tons of them get stopped like I was. I was literally stopped right here by her sign, and I looked up at her sign, and So Via is the director of growth for the Ben Kinney companies. She's a Brivity platform client, and I wanted to throw up. Like, not because she had an awesome listing at a really great location, right? That like right now, if I wanted to get information about this listing or the special financing or what would I have to do? I have two options here. Well, I have three options. I could call the phone number. I don't know. Do I want to talk to somebody right now? I could put my car in park, jump out while the light's red, run over and read that sign, and I'll be like, oh, okay, it's listed at that much. How many bedrooms does this thing have? And hope that the light doesn't turn green. The whole time I'm looking to see does the light turn green. I run back and jump in my car, right? Or I run out there. Can you guys see in the red, on that little flyer that's sitting on the post there, in the red band, there's a QR code. Now, I didn't try this. I'm just guessing, right? From my driver's seat, like shooting across the passenger seat and a little bit to the street. I don't think I could have got that QR code. I didn't try it. Like she missed the opportunity to have, this call to action out there, and she missed the opportunity with probably thousands of people a day. And I would guess no fewer than 100 or 150 that were stopped right in front of her sign because it was like, just, 100 yards, 50 yards or something to the stoplight. I was probably 10 cars back. I bet that happens 50 times a day, 100 times a day. I don't know, a lot. And I texted her this picture. I'm like, what are you doing? Where's your quickly call to action? I want somebody to be able to text you from right there and get all the info about your property via the price, all the photos, maybe some information about the special financing. I'm such a big believer in the text call to action, but I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I hear a way somebody wants to use it, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. What are you talking about? So this is a guy in Plymouth, Michigan. His name's Jason Matt. And Jason, I don't know, 2 years ago, a long time ago, he called me, and he's like, hey, I want to get an extra keyword for quickly. And if you guys are Brivity platform clients already, we can do something like this with you. We give it an extra keyword, right? So Jason said, well, I'm thinking that like on my Zillow listings, like I'll put them on a couple of days before they go live, 2 days before they go live, and then it's 3 days, something like that. And I want to have like a text call to action inside of Zillow, right? So that somebody can get the information and maybe even schedule a private showing like on that first day that it goes live. And I'm like, Jason, that's a horrible idea. Like people don't go on Zillow. Like I'm on Zillow on my phone, and then I'm going to be like, oh yeah, let me leave here. And he's like, no, but they can't get it anywhere else. I'm like, can't they just like call you on Zillow? Isn't that a thing? Or can't they just like reach out to you through Zillow? Like, I don't know why I'd leave the Zillow app instead of just reaching out to you right there. And he's like, I don't know, I'm going to try it. I'm like, all right, well, I just don't think it's going to work that well, but sure, go give it a try. Now, rules have changed around this since he started doing this. So maybe he can do this for 24 hours before. Maybe he can't even do this anymore. It looks like he's still using this, so I'm going to show you in a second. There's all these rules now around the coming soon, how long I can do that for, right? But he continues to do this even when the listing is on Zillow. And his call to action changes from being like, hey, it's coming soon, to like, to schedule a private tour or speak directly to the listing agent, text sold, I think is his main keyword, right? To 59559. I didn't think this would work. I thought they're on the internet, right? Like, why they're just going to click somewhere, they can call something or hit contact us or nah. People, and here's some of the different wording, right? To contact your listing agent directly or schedule a private tour or text Ben Kinney to 59559, whatever your quickly keyword is, right? To schedule a private tour, to be the first person to see the inside of this home when it hits the market. This works for him. Now, I don't know, some months he takes more listings, does more. This guy generates hundreds of leads a month on quickly, and he carries, I don't know, some 20 to 30 listings at any given time, right? Maybe sometimes more. These are just the leads, and this is in the last year, right? But these are just the leads that he's gotten from Zillow from going out and posting that JMT coming soon call to action that we saw right here. And I don't know what the math of 60, 70, 100, 150, 160 leads in the last year on an idea that I was like, that's stupid, man. That's not going to work. I was wrong, which happens often, by the way. But I was like, I'm provably, demonstrably wrong in this particular scenario. These text codes, here's why I love the texting stuff, right? And then as a call to action. Because when they do it, I know I got them. I can remember the first time Bill Gates signed up on our website. In 2002, when we started doing this, we used to take listings from the Northwest MLS and like put them on the internet. This was before Google. You couldn't even run Google. This was before Google. Like we used a thing called Overture, and AOL and Yahoo had the biggest search engines back then, and you could pay to get your stuff indexed in Yahoo. And I can remember Bill Gates, he signs up. We sold real estate in Bellevue, Washington. My office was about 3 miles from Redmond Microsoft campus. So Bill Gates signs up. I run into my partner, Jonathan. I'm like, hey, dude, Bill Gates signed up on our website. I'm pretty sure it's him. And he's like, you moron. Like, it's not him. Like, Bill Gates is going to sign up on our website 2 or 3 times a year for the rest of our career. And he has. And so has Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and FU. And, you get fake leads all the time, like kind of in the internet world, right? You never, ever get a fake lead when you're using text calls to action. You literally are getting the phone number of the person that texted that call to action. So we use these for events. Anytime we're in a large audience, any kind of in public, right? If we sponsored a kids' Little League, season, and we got to hang a little banner like on the backstop for the duration of the year, we're going to have a call to action to entice people to do something. A lot of times at these events, we give us something away. So I'll give you so Corey right here at this particular event, it's like a farmer's market or something like that, right? He had his little booth at a farmer's market. He was going to give away that bike right there, that beach cruiser. In order to win that beach cruiser, he wanted you to text PERMAC to 59559 to enter. Now, when you do that, he would just send you a form back. So he'd get all your information. So if you won, he'd know where to ship the bike to. So on his form, he'd obviously get your name, and then he'd get your phone number, which he already had, by the way, because you texted PERMAC. Then he'd get your email address. Then he'd get your physical address of where you live. And then he'd ask you a few questions, right? And you had to fill the form out in order to be entered to win the bike. What kind of questions? I don't know specifically what Corey's questions were, but when we do this, and we've done this at home shows and we've sponsored the Little League thing or at our food truck rally, or we use this concept a lot. We'll give something away, $100 gift card for a local restaurant, or here's the questions we ask, right? We ask a qualifier question around buying a home, right? Are you thinking about buying a new house in the next 12 months? We ask a qualifier question around, do they own and are they curious what's worth? Do you currently own your house? Are you interested in how much it might sell for today? We ask a question around investing. Do you currently or have you considered real estate as an investment vehicle to fund your retirement? And then we always ask a question around talent. Are you interested in a career in real estate? Which, by the way, is a really common miss for most teams. They don't think about that when they're out in the public. They just think about buyers and sellers. But on our team, it's just as important that we find talent to join our organization. So every time we do something like this, where Corey was out at the local farmer's market or Laura down in Midland was at the bridal show, giving away Christian Louboutin shoes and having people text red bottoms to 59559 if they wanted to win those shoes. Right? When we sponsored the Little League baseball team and we had them text slugger to 59559, right? To win 2 Mizuno bats. Text calls to action. How you present and lay these things out is super, super important, not just from your quickly signs. And I mentioned earlier, by the way, if you're our current platform client, you use a traditional rider, you're getting about 50% of the, oh, here it is. You're getting about 50% of the activity on that rider than you would get on an 18 by 24 standalone sign. And I'd encourage you guys, I call it the 2-second test, like drive by your listing tomorrow if you have quickly. Really drive by any piece of marketing. I don't care what it is. You have 2 seconds to take in everything that's on that sign. That billboard you look up at when you're driving on the freeway, that might not even be 2 seconds. It might be 1. What stands out? Like when I look on the right-hand side at that and I just kind of glance at it for 2 seconds, the first thing that stands out is this house is for sale. There's a phone number I can call. That most likely in most cases, the only thing I saw in here. It's the only thing I saw. It didn't even register in my head I could text. So when we separate these things out and I've got my actual listing sign and it's got a for sale on it and it's got my phone number real big, they look at that thing. When my text call to action is separate, their brain takes in thing number 1 for probably a second, and then it takes in thing number 2 for equally as long, if not longer, independent from thing number 1. So listing sign, phone number, takes in that for a second, goes, I don't want to call. Second thing takes in, says, I can text. Yeah, I'll do that. But it's not just like layout on your sign that you have out there, right? Your ad layout, what this thing actually looks like. And look, I'm on more real estate websites probably than anybody. Like I'd put myself up against anybody in the industry. So I get served more real estate ads than somebody who's probably like really, really wants to sell their house or buy a new house right now. Like I just get served ads all day long. Some of you guys are probably serving me ads. It's really easy to find good examples like what I see on the right. And then like, look, the content in this example, I don't know. I mean, this seems like a really great listing, right? And they're highlighting a lot of the really finest things, but it's just hard to even read. I look at that and I immediately go, I'll skip that. Or look at the layout on this second one, just in terms of like their use of emojis, which you thought were just for like your kids to make fun of you and talk in code and you not know what they're saying. No, there's actually like psychology behind using these things inside of an ad layout. Not just to like break up the words and kind of create, bolded like that top. Yeah, it's in caps, right? But the house is on there really just kind of bold that top thing. It's a hot market. Okay. What else? The 2-second test. If you have signs, now sometimes if you have signs, by the way, like go drive by them. I can't tell you how. I have a guy right down the street from me, 3 blocks from my house. There's this loop my wife and I walk with our boys, and I'm out there one day. I'm walking the loop, and I can see from down the road. I'm like, is that a quickly sign? It's a listing, and it's right by this school, Kenmore Elementary. It's in the drive up to go to the school. If you take your kids to Kenmore Elementary, you drive by this house every single day, right? Again, hundreds of parents driving by this house every single day. As I'm walking up to the sign, I'm getting more confident. Yeah, that's a quickly sign. Holy cow, we got like a Brivity platform client. They got a house listed right here. Guys, I had to get within probably, I don't know, 15 feet or something, walking before, and I don't have bad eyesight, by the way, before I could finally like see and read the call to action, like read his stuff. What is somebody driving by your listing at 35? Like, what do they see? Now, if they insist, right, they're like, look, we gotta have flyers. You gotta put some flyers out front. That's fine, right? If they insist, if you do an open house, you might have flyers at the home for people to take away. Make sure you have those calls to action. Wherever you're doing physical marketing, you should be thinking like, am I missing an important call to action? And generally the one you're missing is a text call to action. Most of the time, because it's just beaten into us, like, get your phone number on there. They might call you, right? And then for, you know, starting 20 years ago, it was, okay, put your website address on there, right? This is your place they go to find out about you. We always think, how can we work in here a quickly call to action, a text call to action? Everywhere, all our physical marketing. If we send a just sold postcard, which, by the way, Brivity has a thing called Brivity Marketer, where we automate the process of creating just listed and just sold postcards for you. We're getting really close to having it just be a full marketer that you can mail postcards at 59 cents a postcard to your own list, any kind of design you want. Right now, it automates just listed and just sold postcards. And on those, look, on the back of this postcard, Jake DeRosa's phone number is on there, right? On this side of the postcard, there's 2 calls to action. There's a link, that shortened briv.it/3uj5. They want to go online, right, and see this house, what it's sold for, and the pictures of this house. They can do that. By the way, we track that link. So if they go, we tell somebody, look, the address at this property that we just sent this postcard to, they were just on your postcard. Like, they were on your postcard, then they went and looked at that house on the internet. But Jake says, you know what? I got my phone number. I got a link. Let me get my text call to action in there as well, right? Text virtual selling to 59559. Like, if you're curious how we can get you 4 offers, text virtual selling. Now, I don't care if you're sending an email to all your past clients saying, hey, you guys bought or sold with me in the past. Maybe you're curious what your home's worth today. It's been a while since we've done a report for you. I don't care if you're out running ads on Facebook that say home prices are up 8% in Seattle this year. Your home may be, you know, in some areas it's even higher. Your home may be worth more than you think. The place that you send that person needs to match the experience and the message that you use to get them there, right? So even this, like, this is a landing page. You guys can easily build these inside of Brivity, right? This is a home value landing page. If the ad I just said, right, if I was running an ad, a Facebook, you know, ad, and it said, you know, home prices are up 8% in Seattle over last year. In some neighborhoods, it's even higher. Find out what your home's worth today, right? If that was the ad I was running, I would make this landing page, what is your Seattle home worth, even more specific. It would say, right, in the bottom there, it might say, you know, on average, they're up 8%. Some neighborhoods, even more. Like, I want to mirror and match that place they go where they're about to kind of take action, right? Fill their name in, fill their address in, whatever it is. That needs to match the experience of where they came from. It makes it a higher likelihood that they're going to do that thing. Right? If I had driven them to something and just said, what is your home worth? Right? There's not as much emotional connection to that as what is your Seattle home worth? And there's not as much emotional connection to that as what is your Seattle home worth? You know, on average, home prices are up 8%, and in your neighborhood, it could be even more. But it doesn't, like, look, on any one given person, you're like, well, one person, they clicked on the ad. Sure. I mean, they're definitely going to fill it out. When you're talking about hundreds of visitors, or in some of your campaigns that are long running, thousands of eyeballs getting on these things, those minor nuanced tweaks to the way that you present the information to people, right? The way the landing page looks, the way it matches up to the content that got them there, are a big deal. You know, my ad was all the 3-bedrooms condos in Seattle under 400,000, right? I want that experience when they land here to kind of match that thing. I'm going to, I don't know. We got sellers' websites, right? Every time Ben Kinney does any kind of advertising in his world geared towards sellers, so they do radio and television advertising. Every time they send just sold postcards out to the neighbors around where they just sold a house, when they do circle prospecting on canceled expireds or circle prospecting around a listing they just had to try to nurture. Seller's Challenge is where they kind of drive people, right? It's a website totally designed around the experience of selling your home with the Ben Kinney team, right? They've got lots of other websites, right? Each one of their teams has a website in their location that's kind of around the buyer experience, right? That might be BKT Washington or BKT South Sound or BKT Tacoma, BKT Seattle. .com, right? But their seller experience is around Seller's Challenge. And when I land there, because I was on the radio, right? And look, you guys might not all run radio ads, but if they were running Facebook ads, when we got this ecosystem of marketing, and you guys can take advantage of this as a Brivity client, or if you became a Brivity client, right? We've got a whole team. Grant runs a team of people, guys and gals here, that build ads for you to try to drive new leads to your business. But another thing we do is we do remarketing, retargeting, either one of those phrases, right? Where we take your existing database, we take people that have been to your website but didn't register. Maybe they landed on your home valuation page and they're like, no, I changed my mind. I don't want to do this. And they left, right? We can remarket to those people who've been on your home valuation page and send them messages about why it's the best, why Ben Kinney team is the best team to list their house. And all of those messages point back to Seller's Challenge and this experience that if they landed there, we know they got marketing messages saying we're best qualified to sell their house. So when they land on that page, we don't want them to land on a page that's like, hey, find a house. They're like, wait, find a house? I thought these guys were going to help me sell, right? Like, I want to sell my home faster for more money, not, own a home somewhere here in Washington. Like, so those marketing messages that we're broadcasting, whether that be, I made the example just a minute ago. I said, maybe you're sending something to all your past clients, right? If that was the case on this landing page right here, I'd probably have a picture of me and my team, and the wording would say, you bought your house with us in the past. See what it's worth today. Right? There's one for you. If you have an existing database right now and you haven't taken the temperature of all your sphere and your past clients, just to simply ask them if they want to know what their house is worth, might be a good idea to do it today. And it all comes back, eventually we kind of get them in our world, right? And we just make sure we are getting a market report or a listing alert. Really in our databases, right, our 35 Ben Kinney expansion teams that I work with on a monthly basis, we are targeting 100% of those people to be on one of these two things. Now, there's lots of people that don't end up on one of these two things, right? But we have to have a reason why they don't need one of these things. We're going to look at every single prospect in the database from one of these two angles and then have to prove why they don't need one. All right, if you're not a Brivity client, so that's calls to action, some of the different things you guys might consider or think about doing. Additional leverage if you're a current Brivity client that you could be kind of taking advantage of that you may not be today. If you're not a Brivity platform client, you got here because you wanted to learn about how to become more efficient. Please go to Brivity.com and there's like request a demo right on the front. You can get in with Sean or Tim or one of these guys or gals, and they'll do a demo for you, walk you through, show you the ins and the outs and the website and all the tools and the Quickly and the market report tool. And we didn't even talk about half the tools. Brivity Marketer to send postcards and Brivity Designer to create awesome designs that you can use then for your ads when you go out and place that Facebook ad. Or maybe you're like, I don't want to do ads. I don't do that. Awesome. We do ads, right? We run lead campaigns and retargeting campaigns. And if you're like super serious right now, you're like, man, I've been coming to these things. I've been thinking about this. Like, text platform to 59559. Like, if you want to talk to somebody today, that'll go to Tim. He runs our sales team. And I promise you, if you text platform to 59559, somebody will call you like in the next hour. Now, if you are a current Brivity platform client and you've never taken advantage of this, go inside of your Brivity CRM right now, and on the little question mark up there, go search for Ben Kinney listing presentation. You can download Ben's listing presentation. It's in an editable like slide deck and you can edit it and swap his logo out, put your logo in. I think we've even stripped the logos off. You just have to put your logo in. We have a little thing that says like your logo here. We give you his presentation. Recently, Ben and I like recorded a session where he actually gave his listing presentation. So not only can you get the listing presentation from us that they used 1,500 times last year to land a listing or whatever it was, you can also listen to Ben actually deliver it. Okay, and you don't even have to buy Brivity. If you do the demo, you're not a Brivity client, you do the demo, we'll give you the listing presentation like as a thank you. Now, the trick is you couldn't use that listing presentation unless you had Brivity's platform, right? Because inside the listing presentation, we wrap in all of the tools and all the technology that we're going to use to help sell their house for more money in less time, right? So the presentation is built around that because Ben's businesses are built around their leverage of Brivity. Okay. Andy, I'm sorry, like, do me a favor, email me at bob@benkinney, these couple like real specific questions, and I will, I'll get you the best answers I can as fast as I can, okay? You're asking some real particulars about being inside of Brivity, and you're a client, a new client, which is awesome, high five. And I recognize your name, by the way, from the old Active Rain days, if I'm not mistaken. All right, let's see. I don't see too many questions in here. Let's see. James has been answering some of you. James, one of the things that on these ads here, you get a little bit more. Let's go back and look at one of these because these were not even. When you're running like this sponsored Facebook ad, you get a little bit more real estate than you get traditionally, even like boosted posts, right? From your business page, you boost a post, you get a little bit less real estate in that boosted post than you get on an actual Facebook ad, you know, from using the ads manager and kind of doing things that way. So you said, what is the best way to compress those to 5 to 6 words for Facebook? And maybe you were talking about some of these, where was it? Some of these kinds of things, right? One of these, in any one of these ads, these kind of written out things right here, if you're using the Facebook ads tool, in boosted posts, you might be getting close to kind of getting chopped off potentially. But you should be able to get any one of these things in there in the right, you know, without having to chop them down to 5 or 6. You know, but if I was going to chop this one down, oops, where'd it go? Like I might take out all of the, right, search homes, you know, I'd take out currently, search homes for sale in Bellingham, under 300,000, 3 beds or more, right? I mean, there's some words in here that you could absolutely eliminate and still end up with like the, you know, the basis of it, you know, and I might say search all, like hint there aren't many, right? Maybe it's see, you know, all 5 homes in Bellingham under 300,000 with 3 more bedrooms. Right? I mean, I can definitely get it shorter, but I think you have a little bit more room when you're using the ads tool from Google. All right, you guys, get back to work. Have an awesome rest of your week here. On behalf of James, who was in here answering questions for you guys, Samantha and Mikey, who make these things happen. My name is Bob Stewart. Andy, I'll look for your email. You guys have an awesome rest of your week in real estate. Wash your hands. Be safe. Bye, everybody.